632 representing Mr. Calhoun, who I yelled at more than once since I started representing him.
All right, Mr. Calhoun, good morning. Can you tell me your first and last name?
Good morning, Ricardo Calhoun.
All right, it's a time and date set for sentencing. Have you had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigative report?
Yes, Judge, there's no corrections, additions, or deletions. It's a very thorough report. I'm Mr. Calhoun.
Mr. Calhoun, your record is abysmal. It is so bad. It is so bad. I mean,
what's funny, Judge, is he's got a pretty good history of doing a lot of charitable work and stuff. Like on paper, he's got some good things going on in his life, but I've gotten to know him, and I can tell him, is he done? I asked him this morning, are you done? His pastor, believe it or not, yelled at him. His wife has yelled at him. They all know what happened here. And
but it's almost like this behavior is like an addiction for you or something, because this is the thing. I don't know how you find a job. Like, I don't know how you keep a job with, and I mean, it looks like you do good work. Like what you do is important, right? For a incredibly disadvantaged community. So you do really good work. And then I just look at this, your record for theft, and they're misdemeanor offenses for the most part, but your record for theft, I was 3 years old, and I am not a young woman. And I was 3 years old when you started committing thefts. And Mr. Calhoun, when I look at this, like this tells me that like, I don't know what is going to help you learn. Like if you're a good person, like this is something we learn in law school. You're going to hear my lecture. There are two kinds of crimes a person can commit, right? There are crimes that are wrong because the government says they're wrong, right? They're wrong, like let's say driving on a suspended. The government says you have to have a license to drive, right? And if you violate that law, it's still a violation of the law. And that doesn't mean it's not serious, but it's only wrong because the government has some structure or agency that says it's wrong, right? And then there are other crimes we learn about in law school that are bad because they're morally wrong, right? Driving on a suspended is wrong because the government said so. Theft is wrong because it's wrong. And you're not Aladdin. You're not out stealing bread or food, which I would view very differently. This isn't for survival. This shows me that you have a dishonest heart. And that, I mean, that any judge or attorney or anybody that looks at this, like this is all of your criminal convictions are wrong per se. Like they're just wrong. They're not wrong because the government said they're wrong. They show bad character. And for someone who does the type of work you do, it's just like the people that you work with, if they steal, they're stealing food, right? These people are stealing to survive. You're stealing for a new pair of slippers. Like you know better. And I know you know better. And it's just incredibly disappointing to see someone that has your history back in front of a court. And like, you've done this before, you've been to this rodeo, and it looks like you had a gap of a decade of nothing, right? No offenses whatsoever. That doesn't mean you weren't doing it. It meant you weren't getting caught. And because I don't think someone just walks into a place one day and says, I like those, and takes them, right? And you have income. And you have restitution in the amount of $2,000. So was this you're lucky this isn't a felony.
Judge, the good news, he has $2,000 today to pay on the restitution. I was one of my requirements that we talked about when he pled is I wanted him to have this, no matter what you do, but I wanted him to have the restitution $2,000. It's a little over $2,000 fines and costs, but he did today.
I just expect that someone your age with the type of, I keep going back to the type of work you do, but like I'm shocked really to see someone with doing what you do every day and watching people who are suffering. And then you go out and do it for what? Right? Is there anything else that anyone wants to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
You know, I wrote a few things down so I wouldn't forget, but you know, one thing that sticks in my head is from Forrest Gump, stupid is what stupid does. And I really need people to see that, no, it's a case. But also, I don't think I ever really thought about it. I also be destroying my family. And I haven't told my younger kids about this, and maybe one day I will, but.
Well, I mean, it's a teaching thing for them, but like, you know this, like you're grown, I'm grown, we're all grown. Kids learn from what they see. And they learn from what they see, they learn from what they're surrounded by. And, you know, you can say, do as I say, not as I do. But if dad's coming home with things dad can't afford, right? I mean, at some point, kids aren't stupid. They're not. Kids are probably smarter than us. They pick up stuff that we're so used to living in the world, we don't notice. You know, they do. The recommendation is for probation. I'm going to follow the recommendation, but I expect strict adherence to this. You're going to do what you have to do to get out of probation. You didn't get a special status or anything, so you'd be eligible for termination at the halfway point if you complied with everything. You have a fine of $50, court cost of $50, state cost of $50, and a crime victim's rights fee of $75, probation oversight fee of $450, community service fee of $10 per day for a total of $50, and restitution in the amount of $2,056 for a total of $2,781. If you pay what you have today, and then you can have a payment plan for whatever the remainder is. You have 12 months probation. You'll do 5 days of community service. That's 40 hours. You'll do it in the city of Taylor. You harmed the city of Taylor, you'll do it in the city of Taylor, and you'll provide proof. Make sure you get your agency approved before you start going. You'll do 5 days or 4. I just told you that. You'll attend one CASA support group meeting per week and provide proof. I'm guessing that's a Shoplifters Anonymous class. You'll abstain from the use or possession of alcohol or controlled substances for the term of your probation unless they're prescribed by a physician, and documentation will be required. And you'll be subject to testing, random drug and alcohol testing, or testing on demand.
You understand what on demand means? If they say you got to come in and test, you got to test. If they find anything, then you're going to be in front of the judge.
Do you live in Taylor? Do you live in Taylor?
Dearborn.
Okay. So you'll be tested at the demand of the probation department. If they call you, you better answer, or it's a violation. You'll submit to a mental health evaluation as directed by probation and follow therapist recommendations and provide proof that might be helpful for you. You'll complete theft prevention classes as directed by probation through Crossroads Recovery and provide proof and follow all therapeutic recommendations. Any other ancillary services that are deemed warranted. You can't go into bars or liquor stores. You can't surround yourself with drug or alcohol using peers. You cannot go into JCPenney. You're to maintain employment and provide proof. You can't shop without another adult. You can't operate a motor vehicle without a valid license. And were you arrested and printed?
Yes, I went in there. Yes.
What's that?
Yes.
I mean, I'm hoping. Do you go to church?
Yes.
You're a religious man?
I like to think so.
All right.
But,
you know the commandments? How far down is not stealing?
I think about 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's like at the top of the list, like after don't kill, right? I mean, think about that, and think about how you want people to view you and the kind of person you want to be. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to change you by lecturing you for 3 or 4 minutes, but you're too old for this.
Definitely too old.
All right, we're all set. You can go down to probation department before you leave. Go downstairs to the right to set up your appointment to meet with them, okay?
Appreciate it, Judge.
Yeah.
Thanks for counseling him like I did. Mr. Calhoun, call me if you need anything, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank
All right.
you, God.
Thanks,
We're all
Judge.
set.
Good to see you.